Congressman Bera, thank you very much for having us here in your office. Now, you've been in office for the last 10 years, been on Capitol Hill. You've seen Narendra Modi meet President Barack Obama. You've seen him meet President Biden, President Trump the first term, and now the second term. How do you think things stand between India and the US this time around?
You know, over the 13 years I've been in Congress, you've seen the evolution of the US-India relationship. I think this relationship between the two countries is as strong as ever. And you've seen that in Democratic and Republican administrations. Obviously, President Trump is taking a different approach in his first couple of weeks here. I do think, though, there are real opportunities for the US and India to work together.
Do you think that India will eventually get caught in Trump's tariff crosshairs?
Well, it seems like Prime Minister Modi is being proactive here, lowering some tariffs. But you know, the tariff discrepancy between U.S. goods going to India or India goods coming to the United States is pretty large. So I think it's smart that the Prime Minister is taking some proactive steps. But that'll be the negotiation that takes place.
Yeah, he has offered some kind of concessions and sweeteners, but just wondering, do you think that India might become a casualty, a collateral, if the U.S. and President Trump slaps tariffs and say BRIC countries and so on and so forth, that India just can't get away from that?
I think every country seems to be getting caught in the crosshairs, including our closest trading partners, Mexico and Canada. So I don't think it's a good game to guess what President Trump is going to do. That said, I do think the U.S.-India economic relationship. I think India's strategic. If President Trump goes after the pharmaceutical sector, India might be able to step in and say, hey, we have an ability to fill some of that gap if you want to move away from China. So I think this will be a delicate balance.
We've always talked about, and people comment about, President Trump and Narendra Modi having this camaraderie that kind of will pull them through to all kinds of obstacles. Do you think that's going to work this time around? Are we going to see quite a belligerent Trump, even when it comes to India, perhaps, in the second term?
Yeah, I think they have a good, cordial relationship. Obviously, the fact that on day one you saw a Quad meeting and Jay Shankar was here. So I think that portends that the administration recognizes the importance of this relationship. I also think there's a real opportunity for India. I suspect President Trump will try to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine. That's going to require negotiations with Putin and Russia. India does have lines of communication that the United States may not have, and I think this is a place where India's diplomacy could step up and say, okay, as this deal's being negotiated, when it comes to a conclusion, where does Russia stand? And it's not in our interest, the United States, or India's interest for a strong Russia-China relationship. So how do you bring Russia back over towards the West?
So using India to offer that kind of leverage on Putin?
Well, I would hope so. I would hope this is a chance for India as a developed nation, as a leading nation, to take its stage on the diplomatic stage.
Right. Congressman Bera, I don't know if you've seen these pictures, and you likely have, of Indian deportees recently, 104 of them being sent back to India from the United States. They were in chains and shackles. Outrage in India. They were sent in a military aircraft. We were told by our External Affairs Minister that that's the SOP, the standard operating procedure. But what was it like during Biden's term or Obama's term? Because deportees have been sent during that time as well.
Yeah, you didn't use military planes, you used ICE planes, you treated people in a humane way. There's no need to shackle deportees, put them in handcuffs. They're already on their way back to their home countries. So treat these individuals as human beings. So I do think that's outrageous.
There's speculation that this will come up in talks between Trump and Narendra Modi. Do you think there'll be some kind of compromise made on that front, that we won't see these pictures of this kind of treatment for deportees coming from the US?
I would hope so. I would hope that the Prime Minister raises it. Again, these are human beings. Let's treat them as human beings.
Final question here. I want to talk about Trump's decision with regards to ending birthright citizenship. It kind of rings home to a lot of people on H-1B visas, because ending birthright citizenship, according to that executive order from Trump, affects not just illegal immigrants, but also people here on temporary work permits, so parents who potentially are expecting a baby. What are you hearing on that front, especially from California, where you're from?
We're going to fight this tooth and nail. We think it's unconstitutional. The courts have ruled in our favor, saying, birthright citizenship is in the Constitution. So I think it would be devastating not just to the Indian American community, but also to communities and precedents for the last 100 years.